not easy to decide, I'm going to count the number of widgets that we're using for each of these different projects. We're using the same widgets for the project. It's not easy to keep count of how many widgets. It would be a very labor intensive practice. So what are some other ways we could actually do this? One of them is an allocation based on effort. This would be the cost of lab supplies are proportionally allocated based upon a percentage of effort charged to each project for someone who's being paid on the project. It could be a lab aide, it could be a PI, it could be a graduate student, any type of person that is going to be working on this project using these widgets would be able to, we would use their effort percentage to charge the amount of widgets that are being used on 2 projects. Issues that would come up with this would be, how often is effort certified? If you're actually using their effort from your certified effort system, you have to make sure that someone's going back and changing the allocation method if the effort changes on one of these projects. That's something that could get lost in translation unless there's someone responsible, unless it's the same person responsible for both, or if somebody has a reminder to say, oh, effort has changed, let's go look and see if the allocations have changed. This is probably the easiest method of allocation to document, since you just say, based on our effort forms, this is how we're doing our allocations. So here's an example we have. A research assistant spends 80% on project A and 20% on project B. So we're using a research assistant at this on this example. The 2 projects have supplies. We know the amount of that have been ordered, and it's just these 2 projects. These widgets are only being used on the 2 projects. So if the usage is directly related, as we said it was, then we can very easily say 80% of 3,000 is 2,400, that's project A, and 600, 20% of 3,000 is charged to project B. That proportionally allocated based on the effort can be the easiest way, especially if you've got multiple supplies that are being used on several projects. As long as a person is working on those 2 projects, and if that changes, you would either have to change your allocation method, or you would have to change the person who you're basing these allocations on.
Excellent. So a similar, but a little bit different method is allocation based on FTE or full-time equivalent. And in this case, you may be looking at purchasing an item or a service that helps 4 or 5 people, and you can count up how many of those people are working on project A and how many are working on project B, because it's more based upon the people using it than a per hour or per unit usage counting that you can do. So we'll pop into our example there. So our example here is we have acetone that we purchased for use in the laboratory, and all the technicians use it. And the technicians are currently working on projects A, B, and C in the amount of $500 per month. So we want to look at who's working on which projects to see where their acetone use should be attributed. So 1 technician is working on A, 2 are working on project B, and 3 are working on project C. So we have 6 technicians. 1 of those 6 is on project A, 2 of the 6 on B, and 3 of the 6 on C. And so you can see how that math is laid out there. So you end up with $83 on A, $167 on B, and $250 on C to allocate that acetone purchase. And so again, this works really, really well when you have something that is per capita or it's used broadly on things, so you can attribute it at the per person level.